conversation. Oh, man. And welcome back to The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. Just before the camera started rolling, we were talking about evolution, the Bible, and stuff like that. William and I had this real deep conversation. I had a point to make, and then we had to go live. So do not let me forget that. I was going somewhere with that. And I think it's actually relevant to our conversation today, because what the left has done is so nutty and so bad for children in Minnesota, and quite frankly, just all Minnesotans. I think they've gone to a whole new level. I would say I'm surprised, but maybe I'm not really surprised, because you kind of saw this one coming. Joining me today to discuss this very important issue, where Governor Walz is parading 6-year-old transgenders in front of the cameras for his own political benefit. Joining me is Magga Jesse. How you doing, Magga Jesse?
I'm doing good. You know, Walz, like you just said, he's parading out this 6-year-old, calling a 6-year-old a transgender. It's obviously these parents are just pushing their woke ideology onto kids. It's disgusting, and we got to call it out.
Yeah. We're gonna do a whole video breakdown on this thing, and I mean, it's just sad. It's really sad, and most people haven't seen this. In fact, it was hard for us to get the footage, right, Dawson? Yeah. So William, also Mr. Straight-Laced himself, joined us today.
Yeah, reading your comments here, so feel free to comment on Rumble, YouTube, or Facebook. We will be reading the Rumble comments first, so that's an incentive to head over and follow us there. And
Dawson, if we've got that little banner thing that we put down here, let's throw it on there. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, get ready. We'll probably be deplatformed after talking about this, because we are bullies, according to Governor Walz. Running the dials as always. I give him a lot of shit, but he does a good job, Dawson, the one-man show. And sitting next to him, 2 shows in a row, Mr. Bunker himself, deep in the bunker, Mark Bashofsky, who's going to be premiering a show in April called The X-Files. Is that what we're calling it? What are you calling it, Mark? Okay, Truth Expedition. Maybe you'll meander and find the truth somewhere in there, right?
Yeah. Needles and haystacks, but we'll find some.
I love it. I can't wait. Mark might be coming on set here during the show, but meantime, he's kind of learning the dials and the operation from Dawson, since he'll be here filming his show. All right, let's get right into this. We found out about this, William. I think it was Wednesday morning? Yesterday was Wednesday. Wednesday morning. That there's going to be a press conference on transgender something at 10:45.
yeah,
That was like all we knew.
that's as many details as they gave us.
That's right. And apparently, Walz has signed an executive order, which we're like, we are very sensitive to executive orders by Tim Walz, because that's what he did to shut you in your home, force mask compliance, all that crap. So we're like, what is he going to do? And really it was a mystery up until the press conference. So we all watched the press conference, and we brought out some interesting parts of it. And I think what we'll do is we'll kind of get gradually more and more extreme. So first of all,
let's not forget, this was on International Women's Day. This was on a day of about women. And what is Tim Walz doing? He's parading out a bunch of fake women. He's bringing out a bunch of dudes.
The concept of a woman doesn't mean anything, because it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, what is a woman?
What is a woman?
Yeah. It was actually International Real Women's Day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We like women here at this show, real women. You know, it's a lost cause. Now, we're going to get in all. And what's so funny? What's so funny about that, William?
We like real women on this show. I don't know.
I can't say that now.
You got to make that clarification nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's that thing about being like transphobic because you don't want to date trans women.
That's an unfortunately real thing.
I know
it
it's a
doesn't
real
make any sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
Well, we all have our tastes and preferences, and we know Jesse's, by the way. A lot of women out there, real women that like Jesse. We get these comments all the time. My God, it's great. Check out Political Junkies, their most recent episode on Trump's performance at CPAC, right on their channel. All right, let's play the video. So first of all, they go on for about 15, 20 minutes, all their speakers, you know, and they don't even tell us what the heck's going on in this executive order. So I think someone in the lazy media pool actually maybe asked. It was kind of hard. We couldn't get the audio. But I think they were asking, so what did you sign, or what's in this document you're about to sign? So here's Tim Walz trying to explain it.
We had conversations about this. This executive order reaffirms Minnesota law, and it directs our agencies. I know we have several commissioners here. Commissioner Harpstead from DHS, Commissioner Lechero from Human Rights. What it does is it puts the strength of this, refocuses state government. But much like the EO we have done on conversion therapy bans and other things, we need to have this codified. So I think I'll turn to the
Okay,
authors
pause right
on
there.
this.
Oops. Can you go back just a tad there? And by the way, did you even understand what the heck this thing does from that? That's his explanation.
Right.
To the right of Tim Walz is this dad, and he's going to be the last one we discuss because this guy, he should be, if I could be sarcastic, the Parent of the Year award for what he did. It's just disgusting.
Yeah.
To the left of Tim Walz was Crazy Eyes. Wasn't that the person looking at the camera that we were laughing
Yeah,
at?
right.
Can we go back to it?
Who wouldn't
No,
who
it's
wouldn't
right
break
there.
eye
Oh, no.
contact? Yeah.
And then
that's one of the crazy eyes.
Yeah,
ones,
that
not
he
the-
was giving the crazy guys the entire press conference, looking right into people's souls.
yeah, it was really weird. But I don't think you guys noticed this. I noticed this when I was watching it. Do you see who's there back by the white Earth flag?
No, who is
That's
that?
Heather Keeler.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah, Miss white Christians are committing genocide by adopting Indian children.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are the kind of people parading. And in fact, I shouldn't forget, maybe we get time today, we'll see her non-apology for calling white Christians genocidal maniacs, essentially. All right, so this is what we learned from the press conference. We didn't actually find out what the heck's in this actual thing until, what was it? I think the afternoon, the executive order. Dawson, I apologize. I completely forgot to have this article ready to go. If you just pull up actionforliberty.com, our article, and we could show you what's in the executive order. That's my bad. We got a bunch of other articles. Yeah, so if you go to actionforliberty.com, scroll down one more, and click on that one where the Walz talking to the girl, and you'll see the executive order here. Scroll down. There's basically 3 provisions. I think it's on the last page right there. That is the nut and bolts of what his executive order does. And essentially it's just him trying to take whatever steps he can to get that what would we call that? That sanctuary state for genital mutilation bill.
Yep.
HF 146. So it says, to the maximum extent permitted under the United States and Minnesota Constitutions, federal law, and Minnesota law, no state agency will enforce or recognize a judgment from another state terminating parental rights or restricting a parent or legal guardian from contacting their child solely because the parent or guardian sought to obtain or did not obtain gender-affirming health care service for their child. Now, I'm going to let you read the other stuff. Essentially, what they're doing here is if a parent in one state, and this is a famous case, I think Daily Wire's covering it right now, Texas versus California, but a parent in one state, and let's just use Wisconsin as an example, or Iowa. Iowa might be a better example. Parents in Iowa, a mother wants to hack off genitalia or put them on hormone treatment, either one very bad. Minnesota's going to try to protect that mother from doing that, even though the dad down in Iowa wants to save their child from this kind of abuse. How can we not, as a society, just believe that that's abuse of a child? And the 6-year-old in some cases, you're going to get to that in this press conference. This is how wacko they are. That's abusive. We have no idea if that child's going to grow up and be that way. The nutty idea that we need to listen to our children and what gender they are is so insane. I almost wish these people weren't even having kids because there's going to be so much abuse. Well, I shouldn't say so much because it's still a small part of our population.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel so bad for these children because they're more than likely not going to be transgender children.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to grow up and be normal kids.
Yep, they're going to be screwed up for life because of all the, surgeries that are being done to them, all of the hormone treatment, all of the crazy things just because their parents want to push this onto them, It's obviously not the kid's choice, especially when they're 6 years old.
They're in this cult. This whole thing is a cult. We played the Liz Collins Reports video the last episode, Tuesday. Great interview with somebody. It was a woman who transitioned to boy. Now, she had mental issues, right? And these were diagnosed. Transitioned to a boy, which is the better one because essentially mastectomy is far less than, chopping off whatever it is going on down there. And so then she comes back as an adult. And she regrets this big time.
Yep.
And I think you were alluding to, William, the testosterone she took changes her voice for good. And she has huge regret.
That's something you can't undo. We got a couple comments here on
Read 'em.
Facebook from Laura. I'll just read one of them here. International Women's Day. Thanks once again, men, for telling women what is good for us, like cutting boobs off and making us infertile.
Yeah.
No kidding. Like
That's good.
the left is supposed to be the super woke feminist crowd, but yet they're just telling women what's best for them and what they want.
Right.
It doesn't sound very feminist to me.
Well, and well, that's actually a great point, Laura. Thanks for bringing that up. So if you see this Liz Collins reports, it's like this woman who transitions to boy praised because she called it love bombing, which is it's actually a thing. You look it up on on Google, you'll find a definition for it. But basically, it's overt praise and bringing someone into their ideology, which is the transgender ideology, LGBTQIA+. I think I got that right now. Then she decides she wants to leave, and she's open and public about it, and they're like a cult, throw her out and call her like sinful, and basically deaths are going to be on your shoulders because of this. And it's like, who are you to tell this to a woman? She's a woman.
Yep.
Yep, and there's a lot of people that go through the detransition where they want to go back to what they were born with. And I think it was one of the first people who had ever even gotten the surgery went back, and they do a lot of the speaking, telling people that it's not a good thing, that people shouldn't be doing this, that it's mental illness, and it's just a big problem. And we can't normalize this mental illness. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help us. It hurts society.
And what's crazy is that these detransitioners who are speaking out about this stuff, they're completely shunned by the left. They're loved when they go through and transition, talk about how great it is for like the 5 minutes that they get what they want. But the second that they talk about their experience, they're deplatformed, they're banned, and they're shunned.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you have another comment before we go to this next segment? I think you said you had a couple comments.
Yeah, we had a couple comments from Laura.
Well, Laura just wants to take over the show then.
But
that first comment, she's probably worthy of it, But you guys are doing a good job over here, third wheeling it. Mark's been pretty quiet. Maybe Mark doesn't. Can Mark even hear us in the bunker?
Yeah, I've got plenty of opinions on this.
That's
it's
true.
crazy, 20% of kids now don't identify as they don't know what they are. It's grooming. I have ex-friends whose kids are, I don't want to get too detailed because I don't want to expose, but they're, it's like a 14, 13-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy that are both identifying as the other sex, and it was more or less, groomed. I saw it happen. It's, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. All right, let's go to the next clip. This is our Lieutenant Governor, Peggy Flanagan, the most unimpressive person in politics, and that includes Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This is just basically like a teenager trapped in a woman's body. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. I don't know her pronouns.
You might get canceled, Jay.
Yeah, we'll see. So this is Peggy Flanagan discussing parenting.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
Camera work is something else here.
What?
That's what it means to be a good parent. And when we talk about Minnesota being the best place in the country to raise a family, the best place in the country to be a child,
there's that crazy he, she in the background.
And ultimately, this
Staring right at us.
is part of that.
Oh, yeah, that is the, yeah.
Yep.
Right into your soul.
Right into the soul. It's so weird. I've never seen something like that.
We got a comment from Brad Ganser on Rumble.
By the way, that's slightly as interesting as coked-eyed Angie Craig.
Yeah, coked up Angie Craig.
Yeah, that's the most interesting press conference.
You guys got to look that up.
Yeah.
After
wait, you're zooming in on the earrings there. Yep, right there. This person.
Watch out for that person.
I think that's a woman. That's yeah.
A woman, a man, or just a lesbian.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Whatever it is, it's a groomer.
Yeah, no kidding. So Brad Ganser on Rumble says, the state of our country is sad when a Supreme Court justice nominee cannot even define what a woman is.
Yep.
I mean, that said everything, right? That was so crazy. Pull up our Twitter account. Here's something that the media's not talking about. We tweeted this out. We tried promoting on Twitter, and they wouldn't let us do it. I think this show's going to get taken down on YouTube, by the way, because I think we're talking about things that we can't do. I think we're misgendering people, which, honest to God, it's tough to appropriately gender people when you got such a potpourri of different personalities up on that stage. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting. You don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read one more here on Rumble because I think this is a great point. Someone said, keep our kids out of public schools. Normalizing this is a learned thing. Only place they're teaching this. And that's so true.
This is what gets people fired up. Gets me fired up. I got 8, children that are young. I got a 6-year-old at home. Just hold on, William.
Yeah.
I got a 6-year-old at home, and we're gonna get into this. Like, we gotta listen to our 6-year-olds. That's ridiculous. Oh, look what's trending. Ray Epps is trending on the right. See, that's a little clickbaity. Did you guys see Mitch McConnell fell and is in the hospital?
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
did not see that. That's
All right,
crazy.
So we tweet this out yesterday. What the hell is Peggy Flanagan wearing? Her shirt says "Protect Trans Kid" and it's got like a bayonet or big knife on it. What is that? You guys found the picture. Can you scroll down? I don't know how Twitter works. Oh yeah, scroll down right there. That's the shirt she's wearing. Protect trans kids with a knife.
Yeah.
Which means one of two things, you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Call for violence, or this is what we use to cut off dicks. Like, what do we do? Why didn't anyone in Lazy Media ask her about her shirt? Like,
Right.
that's a pretty interesting shirt to wear to a press conference. First of all, like, she dresses down all the time, but like, because someone made a comment about her presiding over the Senate on day one of the legislature, and she's like wearing, God, whatever she was wearing was way underdressed. But anyhow, she's wearing a T-shirt on the press conference.
Yeah.
Just throw a blazer over it. So it's like, you're making a political statement here. What's the political statement? Where in the media are they asking these damn obvious, easy questions that they should be asking? What are you trying to say here? And, if I just polled you guys on set, what is this? Call to violence? Is that what you think it is? Is that what it is?
I think so.
You guys don't even want to say. I don't.
Like you said, it's one or the other. It's either cut dicks, make slits, or we're gonna stab you if you don't accept this narrative.
Yeah. No, I know. I would like to hear what her explanation is too, whichever reasoning of those two that she would go with, because either one is crazy.
Yeah, and remember the crazy people that got in this press conference. We got Heather Keeler, who literally said that white Christians are basically committing genocide by the beauty of adoption of, Indian children. That's the people that they are ushering up on stage. All right, then we got Leah Finke. Leah Finke, right? Leah?
I think it's Lee Finke.
Lee Finke. Lee Finke. First transgender legislator in Minnesota, the author of the bill that basically would codify into law what Tim Walz is trying to do here. So let's hear what Lee Finke says.
This is who they're talking about, by the way. They're just talking about us. I don't know what they were imagining the threat to be, but it's this group of people up here. And me. But the thing about this rhetoric and these attacks that we're facing at record numbers is none of that is new. There have been political movements, social movements, cultural movements that have sought to erase queer people from public life forever.
It's this craziness that, the left has to categorize people. They put them into groups. In this case, it's LGBTQIA+. You never heard Dave Chappelle's bit about the alphabet people? It's hilarious. And they don't all like each other. Apparently now, politically, they all like each other, but I still think that the lesbians probably aren't full on board with these transgender people. But anyhow, they want to categorize them politically and then try to deliver some kind of enhanced rights to these people. Well, the issue that we have, and I don't think it's good to actually be mean-spirited towards just someone that's going through gender dysphoria, right? That sucks, right? But it's a whole different thing to go after the children and then to masquerade that. So that's why I think these people are fair game, because what they're doing is absolutely terrible. They're trying to indoctrinate a society into thinking that it's okay to hack up little children.
I'm just reading something on this Lee Finke right
I got
now.
school for you already.
Apparently, she says it is transphobic to call out litter boxes in schools. So Lee Finke apparently says that's transphobic.
That's not even a transgender thing.
No,
That's
I
a
know.
Trans animal thing, Mark.
I guess so. It's ridiculous.
Mark apparently has to join her set. He's too fired up.
Too much to just be in the dark on that. That's a man. Where's this legislator from? I mean, obviously deep in the metro, right?
Yeah, it's like, is it
Not too
Venice
far from
Heights or
here.
something like that? Should know this by heart.
Yeah. And Laura agrees with you, Mark. On Facebook, she said, "Oh, here we go. Thanks, white man, for painting your hair pink to a woman." That's what we come down to, I guess, pink hair and lipstick. It's kind of like a caricature of a woman, isn't it?
Yeah.
What Lee Finke's doing. Like put on a dress, dye your hair pink, and put on lipstick, and then
Right.
it's woman.
And they act like that's
Yeah,
enough.
And you know, we
Yeah.
could probably all agree, do what you want, but to push this on the kids
Right.
and to promote this in the public to confuse the kids, that's the problem. I mean, do what you want to do. I'm all about freedom.
Yep. Yeah. If you're an adult, live and let live. But yeah, that doesn't mean I have to accept it, and it definitely doesn't mean that we need to push it onto kids. That's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I just looked up Lee Finke. It's Falcon Heights, so it's just south of here. Basically, the border, her district. Look how woke I am. Her district. Just basically a mile south of our studio. Maybe we'll have to have she in here and talk about this stuff. But like Lee Finke's bill is awful. It basically establishes a sanctuary state for genital mutilation. I can't even say it. They don't say it that way. They call it gender affirming, which is ridiculous. So let's get into some of the craziest parts. If you're not already outraged by what we just covered, we saved I don't want to say the best for last. We saved the most extreme for last. So here is Walz now, and you can kind of see this ramping up. They're talking about that's just good parenting. And then, Lee says basically people are being under attack. And so Walz, in his typical fashion, angry Walz is like, yeah, and we got to stop these bullies. So he's basically calling everyone outside of this crazy ideology a bully. So let's play Tim Walz here.
You still have the doctor clip left too.
Oh, I'm aware of that. I'm getting to that one.
That I think some of this boils down to this. We're seeing this sweep across the nation, as Rep. Finke said. It's being led by bullies. And I say this as a teacher who cannot stand bullies. Imagine, those of you watching this here, imagine what the gathering looked like to sign the legislation to take these rights away from people look like. Imagine what the human emotion was in that room when they did that. With absolutely nothing to gain for themselves, not following any factual data, and simply using the state apparatus to bring cruelty down on the most innocent amongst us.
Now, this is why it's so important to ask the question about Peggy Flanagan's shirt and why she's got a knife on there, because this is the tactic the left uses, is you paint your enemy as something disgusting and vile, like they're fascists or they're Nazis. And then, of course, well, you should
They
be
don't want to protect kids, even though we're the ones who are saying, please protect these kids. Don't allow,
Correct.
this transgender surgery.
Oh, we're definitely the right here, but I'm just saying they then
right.
degrade you. And then, of course, there's nothing unjust about punching a Nazi or punching a fascist, right? So he's essentially saying that we are horrible people, we're bullies, but really when you get down to it, it's like that what we're doing is like evil. We're trying to take away the rights. By the way, Tim Walz should know something about taking away rights. I've never seen a governor take more rights away than him. It's lost on these assholes. But he's basically encompassing, and he's doing the same thing Biden has done, is like all MAGA Republicans are the biggest threat to democracy, or these Jan Sixers people. Jan Sixers are terrorists. So they try to degrade people like us for discussing things outside of their ideology or their cult. They just want compliance. I don't know if we're going to talk about this today, but that Minnesota Wild story, did you write that yet? Or
It's not ready to be published.
Okay,
so.
got it. That's kind of part and parcel for what we're talking about. So you got to be in full compliance of it.
Yep.
And so, yes, he's basically degrading everyone else and then calling us bullies. And we have a valid case here. And so do these other states. And in case you didn't know what he was alluding to, is a bunch of other states are now protecting children by saying this is wrong. This is child abuse.
Yeah.
A 6-year-old has no idea. A 6-year-old has no idea what they're talking about. I have a 6-year-old at home. This is insanity. Did you have a 6-year-old?
2 7-year-old boys, and they don't have a clue. They want to be an army guy. They want to be an Indian. They don't want to wear dresses, but they don't know. They don't understand sexuality at all.
Of course not.
I mean, they don't. Even my 11-year-old doesn't.
Yeah.
This is just crazy. Leave these kids alone. Let them be kids.
They play Indians and Army.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
7-year-olds are Army guy. They're like put an Army movie on. They got to get ideas, and then they go downstairs and they're blowing each other up.
Love it.
Calling for air support and
Love
you
it.
name
Yeah,
it.
air support too, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
one's
maybe I
got to
should teach
be.
them. Should I teach them the actual codes and stuff?
You
for,
should. They'd
official
love
call?
it, man.
Yeah. If I remember that from back in the day. What were you gonna say, William?
I was going to say something, but I want to get to comments.
Sure.
first.
Let's get some comments in, and then we're gonna get to a doctor who shouldn't have a license, which she said. I'm hopefully getting the gender right, but I think it's a she. And then the worst of all is the father of the 6-year-old. So we're gonna get to that, but let's get to some comments first.
So Tucker says it's the institution. School choice won't work if all the teachers are coming from the same corrupt universities.
That's right, and that's where they start. It's a long march on the institutions. They start with the universities. This has been happening since like the 60s and 50s.
Right.
Yep.
Brad Ganser says, this is enraging. We do not support the mutilation of emotionally vulnerable children, and we are the extreme bullies. Whose opinion sounds more extreme?
Exactly. No, I was going to stop you. I'm like, Brad's already had a comment read today, but since he's now, what do they call those, the Rumble Rants donor, which we learned on air. I learned on air that you could donate on Rumble. He's now earned the right to have his comments towards the top. That's what my staff told me is, hey, if they're donating, that's like super chats on YouTube. So there you go. But Brad Ganser goes to the top now. By the way, I've known Brad for many years, so I got to give him some shit.
Carla Nelson says, my son used to play dress up with his sister when he was around 5 or 6. He is now one of the strongest masculine men I know.
Yes, and I'm going to get to that when we talk about the 6-year-old that gets paraded by Walz and their just awful parents.
Right.
But
Yeah, exactly. There's
what
a
happens
difference
when they grow
between
up?
a kid playing around and then, the parents trying to force them to change their gender. It's a completely different situation. Yeah, it's terrible what's going on.
Yeah, and Peggy Flanagan saying we need to listen to our children. It's like, you are freaking nutty.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what your children are going to grow up to be like. I'm not saying transgender here. I'm saying like they're going to call the shots when they get in the real world and see how things go. It's like,
Yeah.
they're going to have some awakening here because my kids don't
yeah.
call a shot in my household. Oh my God. 6-year-old lost spring break vacation last night, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Now he was instructed by mom that he has to earn it back because he's going to want that vacation. It's involves some water slides. So.
Yeah. Now, have you ever seen some of those kids that are just totally propagandized? They got liberal parents that, feed them all the information. It's a little bit freaky to watch these kids in action because, they're just spouting off what they've been told to believe, and they believe it so firmly. It's really, really sad to see these kids becoming just puppets for their parents.
This does happen on both sides of
Yeah.
fairness. You remember those girls dancing for Trump? That
Oh,
was
yeah.
the weirdest video ever. Oh,
Yeah, that was a little weird. I thought it was funny, though.
Yeah.
Brad sent us $1 over Rumble.
He gets another top of the. Yeah, I'll mention too. Like I said, I have a
You
friend.
cheapo! $1? That's all your comment. Okay, that's all his comments are worth is $1.
Hey, but it got our attention, right?
That did. Yeah, well played. When are we getting Brad in studio? I've told him he needs to come on set.
Yeah, he'd be fun.
He's interesting.
So yeah, I've got a friend who no way would ever watch this program. Isn't a friend anymore. Disowned
What
me.
the hell? What are you saying
Disowned
about a
me.
program?
Far left. BLM gender. But again, 2 kids, young, end up. They're both declare they're gay, and they're proud. They're proud to have 2 unique kids. That's their mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a rationale to not be happy that your child becomes gay because you probably want grandchildren, right? You want to pass on your heritage, and it's like, that kind of stinks. Obviously, you got to be somewhat accepting. You don't want to disown your children. That's not a good course for life.
Right, I'm
but
sure,
it's a tricky one, but it is, you're right. It's like this cultish thing. It's like, oh, we're so proud of you, and this is so heroic. It's like, ew.
They're unique.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just that far left.
But I don't even want to get into the homosexuality part because honestly,
Because that's totally separate
it's
from
a
these
separate thing.
transgenders.
Exactly.
The transgender thing is so much different. Way bigger of a deal, and especially because they're forcing it onto these kids, and it forces, it messes with their entire body instead of, just sexuality.
Well,
Right.
it starts with probably an inclination of homosexual, and then it goes beyond to like, I want to change.
Right? Yeah, it's a progression.
Maybe, but I don't know if that's the case because you can't imagine a 6-year-old's got some sexuality.
They don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Exactly, which is why it's so nutty. All right, Let's hold off comments here for a second unless Brad Ganser gives us another buck, and then I guess we'll get into their comments. All right, this is where it gets crazy. A doctor talking about what she does for her practice, and my God, you shouldn't have a medical license talking the way she talks. So let's listen to this doctor here.
As I said, gender affirming care means something different to every child and family. We provide evidence-based care in line with international guidelines in Minnesota. We work closely with families to ensure that children and adolescents are receiving appropriate care consistent with their developmental stage, where they are in their intellectual and physical development. There are also permanent, irreversible changes caused by just living in the body you were born in.
That is crazy.
What?
And nobody besides a child, a family, and their healthcare team can figure out what is best for that child and their family. And there is no one else who belongs in that room making those decisions.
Oh my freaking gosh. I'm telling you what. Oh, by the way, my 2-year-old, that's his new word, is oh my gosh. Apparently my wife and I say it too much. It's very
You do
cute.
say it a lot.
Do I really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. He's like, oh my gosh. He goes around, and his other new word is no not. No not. And he
Tucker
really
has a
hates when
very-
Daddy goes to work in the morning. You know, it's crazy. My 2-year-old has wild ideas, and I don't let him call the shots. Same thing with my 6-year-old. Hell, even my 8-year-old. No way would I let him call the shots. So
And
we
it's
need to
only
listen
on
to our
this
children.
issue. Right. It's only on this issue that they say that these kids can call the shot. You know?
Right.
Right.
You know, it's only on gender. You know, they don't think the kids can vote. They don't think kids can smoke. They don't think kids can drink. They don't think kids can make their own decisions
Hold
about
on.
school.
Hold those
None
horses
of
there.
that,
They're kind of moving towards letting the kids vote there, Jesse.
Yeah, exactly. They are working on that one. But, you know, it's the only example where these Democrats say, oh, we need to let these kids make up their own mind. It's ridiculous.
Well, I thought you were going to capture the one that I was thinking of. I don't know
What's
if you're
that?
thinking of it. Well, last I checked, I don't know a single kid on this planet that wants to get a shot.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Seems like a lot of
Most kids don't
parents
like
and
needles.
doctors are telling them what to get.
Yeah.
Certainly, Walz and the government wanted to tell them what to get. Luckily, we've probably scared them off of going towards children because we were going to fight that one.
Yeah.
And we will. If they even try pushing this COVID vaccine on our children, which they have attempted with that,
Yeah.
you want to see Mark Bashofsky and MAGA Jesse and William and I really active? That's what
Yeah.
gets us active. We will fight you tooth and nail on that one. But, yeah, they want to – that's insanity. You know, my child, protein's a very important part of the diet, and they tend to not want to eat the protein that's put on their plate, right? You know, unless it's like in the form of, chicken nuggets or something, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Mark's just going like, yep. So, but you make them eat that, and you make them eat a little bit of vegetables because it's the right thing for them. Kids are nuts. You can't let them call the shots. But somehow, if it comes to gender, we'll let them call all the shots, even though they have zero idea. They're a little child. All right, so irreversible damage growing up in your body, your birth body. What's you guys read on that one? God was wrong?
Yeah.
I guess the natural puberty process is probably what they're talking about. And how dare you let the natural process take course?
Right.
How dare you let God's plan unfold?
Right, and she calls it damage. You know, to grow up normally, she calls that irreversible damage. What we're calling irreversible damage is transgender surgery, cutting off genitals. That's what's irreversible damage. Growing up normally in a normal human body. That's not irreversible change. You know, that's just growth.
And you don't know until you actually go through the process, which if you're trying to stop that or block that with like hormone treatments, you don't know. You can't say what you just said, but she did it anyhow. That's Miss Woke Doctor. Did you get the name of this doctor you wanted to have?
Oh,
it's in our article.
So
Well, go to back to our article on this. So I get it right. wanted to say it was like Leonidas, but that's not right.
It was something weird. Dr. Kelsey Leonard Smith.
Leonard
No
Smith.
hyphen. You'd think it'd be Leonard hyphen Smith.
Dr.
That's just
Kelsey
one.
Leonard Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
Practicing pediatrics, specializing in genital mutilation.
It would be a shame if people decided to Google her and find her address and find her office and find her phone number. It would just be a
that gets us
You know, the
off
whole
YouTube. But I mean, honestly, this is a terrible person for saying this stuff.
Right.
You could see how uncomfortable.
no medical license for her. Yeah,
Right,
they
you
go
could see
after
how uncomfortable she was.
Right, they
'cause
go
she
after
knows.
Scott Jensen for his medical license.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
you know, this lady who wants to give children transgender surgeries, no problem there. What a joke.
Well, that's what we learned from the Scott Jensen thing is that you don't even need to be patient. You can file a report.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I would want to use the government to go after private citizens, but in this case, oh my God, she's actually like doing this to children. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just, you just wait to see what the life expectancy is, because this is just starting. Because this is just take away the whole mutilation part. This is not healthy. You're messing with hormones. This is an important cascade in your body. The cortisone, the adrenals, how this is all functioning. These kids are not. I don't know, but we have to, at least consider the fact that this is going to harm their health, and what's the suicide rate going to be in the future. They're harming them in multiple ways.
Jesse, you're pulling off. I'm looking at the screen. You were pulling off that same thing that one person was on the press conference.
I noticed that.
Yeah, did you see he was just staring right into the camera?
Right
I'm not sure where to look sometimes.
Oh my God, it must be like a condition people have. See, he was just doing that. No, now you're trying too hard. You have that same condition as the he-she.
I guess so.
I do want to read Tucker's comment because I thought it was hilarious. I didn't know Ellen DeGeneres came to town. Why do they always look like her?
Which one was Ellen DeGeneres?
The doctor.
Go back to the doctor. Did I not catch that?
It's like the short blonde hair.
Is this Tucker the effer?
Yeah. Tucker 91 on
What's
Rumble.
he talking about? It doesn't look like Ellen DeGeneres.
Same kind of look.
How?
Different color hair
Kinda
and everything.
Because they're
pudgy
wearing like a
face,
collared
more
shirt
plump.
with enormous shoulder pads. Is that
a little
why?
butch, yeah.
I think that's a stretch on that one.
I thought it was funny.
Does look like someone. I can't think who it is. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, so I saved the worst. We were trying to find. You would think in this very important press conference on International Real Women's Day, you would think somewhere the whole press conference video would be out there, but apparently Fox 9, which did live stream it, had a lot of malfunctions. So we ended up to get the most interesting part. A father who used to be a cop and a prosecutor who's got what he calls a transgender child, which is probably if I had to say a focus of this press conference, it was the 6-year-old child. They even spanned this child. Saying that he wants to protect his daughter, who's really, I guess, a son, but he's living in this cult delusion, okay? So watch them use this 6-year-old as a political prop.
Standing in that sea of people, a parent, transparent, about his family.
My partner Gretchen and I are here today.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. Right. Okay.
His
First of all,
partner Gretchen.
This is CARE 11, just so we give credit, because I think I was in the blocking the timestamp on that, so we had to pull from CARE 11's report on this. Jen Shortle reporting. You just know this guy is completely woke because he's married to a woman.
Could be a trans woman.
You never know these days, but I'm pretty certain looking at she's a woman, and he has to say partner. You can't even say wife because that would be too gender specific. Like, something's wrong with you. Don't you see this? Like, the fact you can't even call your wife, you got a sickness going on, okay? So let's watch the rest of this little bit here.
We are parents of a trans child.
Their child is 6 years old, and she was as excited to be at a boring capital on spring break as any 6-year-old kid could be. Squirming and fidgeting her way through speeches, hardly aware her existence as
Okay,
parent.
stop. All right, so yes, that's why you don't listen to a 6-year-old. That's the expert on her own gender. And let's not show that video again because I really feel bad. It's newsworthy, and they're the assholes throwing this on camera in front of us. This is why Tim Walz is a monster. parading out a 6-year-old to do this. What if this 6-year-old boy grows up and becomes a normal boy? Can you imagine the ribbing he's going to get from people, especially in high school?
Oh, yeah.
When this video of him as a little girl comes out, that's going to be traumatizing.
Yeah.
The sickness of his parents praying that you don't know what a 6-year-old's going to end up being. But mommy and daddy are playing dress up in girls' dresses with their 6-year-old boy and using him as a political prop. And Tim Walz and the whole gang are completely fine with it.
Right, and what did the media just say right there? They said that the 6-year-old barely knew what was going on at the Capitol. So if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know what's happening around your surroundings, how would you know what gender you are? Especially, to change it. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. And they had a little laugh about it. Oh, she didn't want, they had to keep saying didn't want to go to the Capitol and meet the governor. Do I have to meet the governor today? This is a child, poor innocent child. And they're using this child in a very harmful way, because most likely, I think the odds are against that this child will grow up with gender dysphoria. Most likely the child is just a little confused at that point.
Right.
They all are. My little 6-year-old, by the way, hates women. He hates girls. He says that to mom, and I'm like, oh, no. Mom is the most wonderful person in the world. He's good. And by the way, his best friend down the road is a girl, cute little girl. But, for whatever reason, he's a boy, and he thinks that the old thing, girls not allowed in the treehouse. It's like, we cannot be listening to these children. This is so insane, and it's amazing. And this Care 11 report, and we watched a couple other reports. No one's even acting like this is crazy and out there.
Right, and this dad, he was a cop, he was a prosecutor. He should know better, especially someone of that background. He should have a lot more common sense. It's really gross to see what he's doing to his kid. Right.
Yeah, and then you wonder how they over-prosecute people for January 6th and how they can prosecute Trump.
Right,
because these are some of the prosecutors that are out there.
Yeah.
These kind of nutballs.
That's what Rodeo 55 said. They said the parents of the 6-year-old should be hauled in for child endangerment.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. Is this not bad? Is this not wrong? Why is no one in the media? Here's the thing. No one in the media is asking these questions. Like, why are you guys parading out a 6-year-old? Why is a 6-year-old an expert? Let's talk more to this doctor here. If this 6-year-old went to this doctor and the parents are all, because obviously the parents are in this cult, what's the doctor going to do? Start giving hormone treatment to a 6-year-old? What if this is not what the child wants? There's a lot of cases where people actually regret this. They detransition. Liz Collins, as I said before, had a great report on this. What happens in that case? You guys are abusing your child. And Tim Walz, and the whole point of this press conference, is they want to protect a parent, most likely divorced parents, and one's in a different state, and one parent is trying to protect their child from going through this craziness. He's a monster. There's no other way to look at this. This is the left-wing agenda in a nutshell. And I just kind of wonder, most people cannot believe in this stuff. I really feel, to go deep in the bunker with you here, Mark, it's like these ruling elites, these globalists, they love this stuff because it keeps us divided, it keeps us talking. Because how do we ignore this? I didn't plan on having 2 shows this week about transgender issues. There's a lot of very important issues out there. But they're throwing the stuff in our face. You got to be standing up for the children. You got to protect the children. Just like forced vaccinations or children. We have to stand up for it. But I think these global elites are just looking down at us laughing. Meanwhile, we're on the edge of World War III with nuclear weapons. But let's give them this little stuff to debate, debate gender. This is something that's not settled at this point.
Yeah, who knows? We can only speculate. But they talk about equality and all this stuff, and if you're all non-binary, then you're all going to be equal, and you won't be able to procreate, and that handles a lot of the problems that they see. I don't know. It's crazy. They feel like they're so advanced. Their thought that this wokeism and we're prehistoric or something because the tradition of a man and a woman is normal to us, but we're like cavemen.
Yeah.
That's how they see it. They feel like they're so advanced and smart because their kids are so woke.
And William, this gets back to that conversation we had right before the camera started rolling. Is what is the Bible? Well, the Bible is how you navigate the world of human interactions. That's what it is, right? And it's
more than that,
so you take pieces of the Bible and they talk about traditional families because the traditional family is the best way to raise children. We know this, Mark. We both have 3 children. Somehow Mark and I only can produce boys because we both have 3 boys. And it's the best fostered environment for a child is a mother, is a mother and a father, right?
Yeah.
That's why divorce is so terrible and should be really tried to be avoided in as many cases as possible when you have children, because it's really bad for the children. Science is very much well written on this subject alone.
Yeah, it's like, I have an 11-year-old, so this birds and the bees talk is coming, but they do know. When we were out on the campaign trail, my boys would be like, we'd be going to lit drop or knock a door, and they're like, BLM, rainbow flag, and we'd, move on. So they kind of know, and they asked, what's the flag? And I'm like, well, me and mom are married, a man and a woman, and that's in the Bible, and so, but these people believe in, and we weren't even like, degrading them. We're just like, this is where a man and a man, and, but just saying we don't feel that's right. But so they know kind of what's going on. I mean, are your kids even at that point where they understand what the rainbow flag is?
I mean, I might have, I think I did have to explain a transgender thing to him once.
Yeah, and we shouldn't even have to.
I know,
that.
but it was another kid saying something ridiculous, and my kids were like, "What?" I was like, "No, boys are boys and girls are girls." It's like, oh my God. Rest me, I'm such a terrible father for saying something, But yeah, it's an assault on those traditional values. I think that was you, Mark, that was bringing that up. And it's like these traditional values have some merit to them, right? I guess we're just these old, boring white Christians who are genocidal, right?
But it's just whether you're Christian or not, it takes a man and a woman. We are here, no matter how you look at it, to be fruitful. Mm-hmm. If we aren't, then we will not go on in history. It's like it takes a man and a woman. So whether you're Christian or not, it doesn't make sense. Whatever you want to do as an adult. But like when I was, I went to high school in the 80s, and 1,200 people in my high school, there was like one guy that was like not out of the closet, but that you knew was gay. One out of 1,200. Now, I wonder what that ratio is and what happened.
I think Gen Z is like 20-some%.
20-some,
LGBT,
yeah. What the hell happened?
Which is huge.
That's what they say?
20.
Oh, so LGBT, so it's gay then as well.
Gay, bi, trans,
something. They don't
whatever.
Identify as
How
their...
many bi people are there, really? I feel like that's just a category that the Zach Stevensons of the world make up so they can shoot at both hoops.
You never run out of analogies.
I don't, yeah. No, that was our theory, is he came out as bisexual because, he didn't want to be just a boring white male in the DFL caucus. By the way, it's really interesting. It's like that's kind of bad to your wife too. Like if you're acting on that, it would be bad to cheat on your wife with another woman.
Yeah, I thought it was weird for him to say as a married man.
Right.
Yeah, I thought he was single when he first said it. I thought, oh, okay, but yeah, especially if he's married to a woman, it's pretty weird to say.
But once again, how dare you say that, Jesse? Because this is woke culture. You need to be fully indoctrinated and believe. We need to celebrate this stuff.
Yeah, I don't care what he does with his free time. Obviously, it doesn't bother me, but I'm not going to celebrate it.
Actually, come to think of it, I thought they said something in this executive order about celebrating it. I should have had this ready to go. Celebrating just words. Yep, here we go. Yeah, this is right at the beginning. I, Tim Walz, Governor of the State of Minnesota, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and applicable statutes, issue the following executive order. It's unbelievable that this guy got voted back in. Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The Minnesota Constitution explains that government is instituted for the security, benefit, and protection of the people. All Minnesotans have the right to be free from discrimination, including discrimination on the basis of gender identity and gender expression. Minnesota strives to be a welcoming and supportive place for the LGBTQIA+. Now that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. I was going to say transvestite. We're old school, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Transgender, queer, or questioning?
It's queer, I think.
I think it's queer.
I think it's questioning. It's queer. Are you sure it's queer?
Yeah. They
queer just means that you're like very flamboyantly gay.
I don't even know.
I'm surprised.
That's what it's historically meant.
It means different now.
That's all it means?
Yeah, they've kind of co-opted the word.
But see, when you just say that, it seems redundant. Okay, so I'm going to go with what you guys are saying, queer. I think you guys are wrong, but I think it's questioning. But queer.
Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, tell us in the comments. Brad Ganser, a buck for you to do it. I. What's I?
They say intersex.
Intersex? Dale, do you know what the Q is?
What does that
Still
even
back
mean?
there?
Is it questioning or queer? He doesn't want to be part of it.
It's queer.
See? Oh, he says that? Okay. I is what? Intersectional?
Intersex.
Yeah, intersex.
What does that even mean?
It's like
I don't know.
it's.
Well,
if you're
you got the
born with
experts
both
here.
parts, essentially, which is like extremely rare, like very rare biological deformity.
That
Asexual.
means asexual, so you don't want to do anything. And then what the hell's the plus? Because that's a new one.
I think that's
Everything
just
else.
everything else. Yeah.
Well, then what is the whole point of the game?
It's
If
just
it's everything else.
everything except straight people.
Well, if you're
That's
really
the pluses.
if you're really woke, you have the 2S in there, which stands for two spirit.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, they had to change the rainbow flag now too, with like the triangle to add more
Yeah.
Dude,
colors.
they have black and brown people in there in the flag now,
Yeah, it's pretty funny that they include
and intersex people and asexual people.
yeah.
They're just gonna keep adding colors to the flag until it's funny. They keep adding colors and they keep pushing gay people like further and further off the flag for all these other made-up identities.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. You know, it used to be a full rainbow flag. Now they're inserting. Good God. All right. To be a welcoming, supportive place for LGBTQIA plus community members, we uphold the essential values of one Minnesota when all people, including members of the LGBTQIA
Except the
plus.
bullies.
What's that?
One
yeah, except for the
Minnesota,
bullies.
except the bullies.
Fair point. Fair point. Yeah, like honestly, the one Minnesota is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So values of one Minnesota when all people, including members of the LGBTQIA plus community, are safe, celebrated, and able to live lives full of dignity and joy. We have got to celebrate it. See, that's the thing, is it's not just about that we have got to be accepting. We have got to celebrate it. And I know I'm putting you on the spot because you don't have the article done, but you did a story. You're doing a story right now about this Minnesota Wild. What happened in that case?
So the Minnesota Wild was going to have a Pride Night. They had a Pride Night last year, and everyone on the left loved it. So they were doing it again this year, and they're supposed to go out in the rink wearing their Pride jerseys, so these rainbow jerseys that celebrate homosexuality. At the last minute, they ditched them. They come out in their normal jerseys. They still have the rainbow tape on their sticks, and they're still using the rainbow pucks or whatever. And they still are selling all this rainbow merch, but the left just goes insane. They're pissed because apparently, if you're watching TV, you wouldn't have known it's Pride Night or whatever, or we need to be doing more to affirm these identities. It's just the weirdest stuff to criticize about, but this is why the left is so effective. They demand above and beyond everything that they want, and they get it.
Right, full compliance. And
Yep.
in this case, what they're doing is they're trying to celebrate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where I am. I'm a libertarian, so I have my personal views on homosexuality, but quite frankly, I think the government should be pretty much out of that business. And I think you should love people, good human beings, good people that are trying to do the right thing, gay, straight, or whatever it is. But there's a difference between that accepting of people just as who they are, content of their character, not the color or sexuality of them, and celebrating it. And this is what really gets me. It's like, I've never been in this, like, we should be celebrating homosexuality. Like, we shouldn't even really be... I mean, if you were to celebrate something, it'd be heterosexuality.
Right.
Which we don't
Because-
even really do.
Yeah, you really don't do it. You don't have
Yeah.
heterosexual praise, but that's actually the way to procreate. That's the good part about heterosexuality. There's also
Right.
bad parts of it too. Promiscuity.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, Tim Walz probably never imagined, and, when he first started his political career 20 whatever years ago, he probably never imagined that this was the kind of press conference he'd be doing. And obviously
Right, because
it's just-
they wouldn't have talked about this in
right,
China.
exactly. And
in China.
yeah, exactly.
Did you
China
like that?
Walls.
I gave you a little
China
thing,
Walls.
give you a
That's
little
what's
shout
going
out.
on there. But obviously, it just goes to show that he's identifying with this woke ideology now. But no normal person believed any of this stuff 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It's only recently that they've been pushing this crap onto us and expecting us to pretend like it's all normal.
Yeah, the idea that Joe Biden's on board with this transgender stuff is a joke. Like, that guy's old school.
Yeah.
He's just being told what to do, And once again, you kind of think like the global elites are probably just trying to do everything they can to divide us, right?
Well, it just leads to more because it's provocative. Because if you're going to watch this game with your kids, then you have to explain what these rainbow flags are for. And it's why do this? Why sexualize the sport it's it's in everything now.
It's in everything. All these woke corporations just getting in line in sports and stuff like that. Yeah, I can't wait to. I think you're gonna have this article done today. We got to go talk about this, and it's also affecting other pieces of legislation. Dawson, pull up the article on what is that? The regulation bill.
Mm-hmm.
What did we call it? Oh, the breast one.
Yep.
Jesse wrote
woke gender neutral regulations. Yep.
Pull that one up here. It got Republican support. Julia Coleman over in what is that? What is that?
She's in District 38.
Yeah, Carver County.
Or 48. Excuse me.
All right, explain what's going on here.
Right. So this is a bill that looks like it's going to be gaining some traction in the legislature. It's got both a House and Senate version, and
you said the House version might be voted on this afternoon, right?
Right. That's what it's looking like. I mean, it's on the general orders for the state House, so I do think the state House may decide to take a vote on it. This bill does all kinds of crazy things. It removes the word breast from breast milk. I'm not sure where these crazy libtards think that milk comes from other places. And they
hold on. We got to zoom in on that. Okay, so here you're seeing subdivision 6. So what they're doing is they're amending a current state statute, and this is some kind of business regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Is this?
Yeah, it's a little bit lower.
Scroll down a little bit. I think this article might be a little out of order.
One more. Scroll down. Yep, that's the section right there.
Okay, so you see they're talking about, first of all, nursing mothers is what's currently in state statute. They're
and
including
in line
now and lactating employees.
Right.
Well, why say employees? Why even have that?
Right, exactly. Because just call them women.
Yeah, who produces it? Well, no, they already have it. Nursing mothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mothers being a
Leave it as nursing mothers then, right?
So the idea that they're adding lactating employees means that it's the gender-neutral language.
Mm-hmm.
So what the hell are you doing on this legislation, Julia Coleman?
Exactly.
First of all, this is more what this bill does, right? Is just it's more mandates for employers.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to give extra breaks to. Well, the insanity now is a lactating mother. So what does that mean? A guy that's What does that mean? A woman who gives birth but is identifying as a guy?
Right. I don't know what they are trying to get at with that. You know, it says the who needs to express breast milk. They strike out the word breast, so they just say express milk. I don't know what they mean. I really don't know. It's so crazy.
Well, the hospitals now, I know this because my wife works in this. It's chest feeding. It's no longer breastfeeding.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
My sister, she was a nurse in delivery. This is probably about maybe not a decade ago, but maybe 6 to 8 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
She was counseled before two partners came in to deliver because it was a man that was delivering. My sister, a nurse in delivery, is like, are you kidding me? I have to refer to the person that I actually look at giving birth out of vagina. I have to refer to that as a man? That's how crazy they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here we have this now being codified in law, or basically what they're doing is, in case you don't know how bills work, is they if there's no underline or striking, that just means that's what's currently in law. This is statute 2022, section 181, 9.39, and or 0.939, and it's about nursing mothers, lactating employees, and pregnancy accommodations. I think they actually made a mistake because I doubt lactating employees was in that headline already. And yeah, they underline the word lactating employees to add that into the bill. Will you throw that back up there, Dawson? And then they strike out breast before milk. So essentially, as you say, Mark, you could be just chest feeding. I mean, you can't get milk from that, but okay.
Yeah.
What else does this bill do?
Right, and then also they get rid of a regulation that requires that employees work for their employer for 12 months before requesting parental leave for maternity or paternity leave. Parental leave.
Scroll up a little bit to the next section right there.
Yeah, right. Paternity and maternity. So now, what is to stop someone from, getting a job and then they're immediately pregnant, and then all of a sudden their employer on their own dime has to be paying for paid time off for this employee? It doesn't make any sense.
24 weeks, is that right? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But now it's essentially, it's like you say,
Right.
it says right there, employee, a person who performs services for hire for an employer from whom a leave is requested under sections, whatever those sections are, and then they're getting rid of for at least 12 months preceding the request.
Right, they're getting rid of all the requirements. So
Right.
It's pretty crazy, and it's definitely going to hurt business owners. This isn't a pro-business bill, and it's crazy to see a Republican on this. What is she thinking? This is the kind of radical left stuff that we expect to see from the Democrats, but what is Senator Julia Coleman thinking? It doesn't make any sense to me. How can you be a Republican, a conservative, and get on this bill as an author of all things?
And then go back to the top. Let's click on the bill. It's SF 1018. Scroll up there. Yeah, you see the link. Isn't it funny how Dawson's getting to be an expert on Minnesota legislation? It's like no one knows how to do this, Dawson. Like most activists are like, oh, I've never looked this stuff up, and you're just like,
Yeah.
So the authors are May Quaid, McEwen, Julia Coleman, the Republican, and Kelly Morrison. Now, these are some of the most crazy left-wingers in the Senate. Kelly Morrison, who's a MD, who's probably all on board with that crazy hack up a little child's genitalia doctor, and very pro. She was the Senate author on the Abortion in All Cases Act.
Yeah.
So she's on board with this stuff. If you click on the House Companion, the one above that. But aren't you impressed that he just knew right where to go now? Like, great. It's like a young kid's grown up. Dawson's just like, you guys are such nerds. Authors are all Democrat. Yeah, he's give me a north to south on that one. Is Kegel, Hemmingson, Yeager, and Katiza Wattoon are so the three, once again, left wingers, all on board with this bill. Metro Democrats. So there you go. That's that's insane. It's creeping into just legislation, just regular business legislation. We brought this up too in the past. The abortion bill even referred to, they got rid of language about women in it, right? Birthing parents,
people, right?
birthing
Instead of mothers. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm surprised that they kept mothers in this one.
Yes, and just so the record's known, we are actually pro-choice when it comes to men. If they pregnant men, we'll be fine with those abortions because they don't exist. It's impossible for a man to get pregnant. So that, I guess, we'll be pro-choice on that one, right? All right. Let's get to some comments, and then we had one more article. Yeah, we got to talk about the Minnesota Police Officers Association. Do we have any comments on that section before we go to this last article there, William?
We have a lot of comments about various things.
Okay, then let's cover this last topic, and then we'll get to your comments. Unless Brad Ganser has another comment, we'll pause. We'll pause for Brad Ganser. Just kidding. Brad, when are you coming in the show? We're gonna have you in the studio. I mean, Mark's just not bringing the full talent. All right. Pull up this article on the Minnesota Police Officers Association. We found this yesterday. These are these establishment hacks. Essentially, the Republican establishment just basically are sellouts. I'm sure I'm not breaking any news to you. And so they'll come out against right to work. Paul Gazelka said this on a couple occasions in debates as running for governor, because I want union support, so I'm against right to work, right? It's like they're just sellouts, right? They don't have any principle. Well, they got in bed, House Republicans and Senate Republicans, with the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association, which you would generally think are good guys because, you know, most cops are good people despite what the leftists say.
Yep.
But, you know, it's always scary when you have someone that pretends to represent all police officers, which is what this Brian Peters character is doing.
Yeah.
And he's always getting on board with, like, the establishment candidates. Pretty much is always against, you know, the Liberty candidates, grassroots conservatives. He even went so far as to endorse Angie Craig for U.S. Congress against Tyler Kistner.
Yep.
So these guys are not, like, conservatives. Here's what's really troubling. As you have counties passing these Second Amendment sanctuaries and sheriffs coming out against all this new gun regulation, Brian Peters, who says he represents over 10,000 cops statewide, is now making a statement, writing to Dave Pinto, who is a crazy leftist, Democrat, Metro Democrat, I think he's a St. Paul Democrat, who basically gets his giddies from taking away our guns. And he's writing a love letter to him saying the MPPOA stands for gun control. And the gun control that they're referring to in here is HF-14, which is universal background checks. And he writes in here, which is just a damn leftist talking point, and it's ridiculous. Because, you know, one of the things that gets me very angry outside of just the bans on firearms and registration is the universal background checks, because that will affect guys like me big time. Is he writes in here, where did I see this? Oh, we are committed to keeping our residents and law enforcement officers safe from the threat of gun violence. So what this bill does is it says if Jesse wants to buy a firearm from me, we have got to go through an FFL to transfer that. Of course, that's a process and a payment, some money, a cost, for me to transfer a firearm to Jesse. Which Jesse's going to do nothing bad with that firearm. He's probably going to use it for hunting. He's going to do, or protection, and most likely in protection, he'll never have to use it.
Yep.
So how on earth is this making people safer?
Right, exactly.
Oh, because the criminals will do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What, are you
That's
guys
the
just
thing.
idiots?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, are you idiots? This isn't going to do anything for the safety. Criminals don't follow laws. They aren't going to go through an FFL. They're just going to give those firearms to the other bad guy to go commit these atrocities. So all you're doing by saying you're keeping people safe is taking the talking point by leftists and making guys like us who are law-abiding citizens go through another process that does absolutely nothing to the public health or safety.
Yeah, no, I think the exact same thing. You know, these laws are for law-abiding people. It's not for the criminals because the criminals don't follow the laws. And I agree with you that the police and the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association, police officers deserve a better representation than that, and than this Brian Peters that falls in line with all of the rhinos, all these radical leftists. This Brian Peters also supports driver's licenses for illegals. I'm not sure what law enforcement wants driver's licenses for illegals. Apparently, Brian Peters thinks that's a good idea.
Yeah, are they even polling their membership here? It'd be really interesting to find out the people that are belonging to this. Because maybe it's just a membership. How many police officers are there in Minnesota? It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Tens of thousands, but
I'll Google it.
Because, like, do they just have a fraction of it and they find the most woke police chiefs and stuff like that? Like, what is it?
Right, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, you know, the people that I think are actually representative of the people and of the police force are these constitutional sheriffs, like you're saying, that they're fighting these gun laws, that they're passing the sanctuary status for the Second Amendment in their counties. And what that does is it says that the sheriff and the sheriff's department will not enforce any of these gun control laws passed by Walz and the Democratic legislature. Yeah. It's our last line of defense. We have to go to the counties. People should be pressuring their county commissioners and their sheriffs to get behind a Second Amendment sanctuary.
So according to the Minnesota Board of Peace Officer Standards and Training, there are 10,923 licensed active peace officers in the state.
So he's pretending to represent. Oh, there's no way there's that many. It's not like that's like 95%.
Makes no sense.
95% of cops are not on board with what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think police officers, and they probably have. Do they have forced union dues, or how do you think this is done? I need to follow up on more. But do you guys know what's going on? Because there's a lot of good cops out there. This guy's pretending to represent you, saying we need to give driver's license to illegal immigrants, which is basically okaying someone from breaking the laws of this country. And he's now saying that we're for gun control. Left-wing, Metro Democrat gun control. This guy is running this organization in the ground. And by the way, this should be the poison pill for Republicans seeking endorsements from this organization in the future. Unless they get rid of this joker here that's leading in this direction.
No, I mean, when they endorse Paul Gazelka for governor, it shows exactly who they are as people. You know, it shows that they're the establishment, that they're the swamp, because nobody would support Paul Gazelka because he's such a great guy. You know, he was the worst candidate that was running.
Well, that's pretty harsh. I mean, he's a decent guy. I don't know. He's a liar, but I mean, maybe he's a decent guy other than that.
Yeah, I mean, he was friendly enough.
He's probably fun to have a White Claw or two with, right?
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's read the comments.
All right. Let's see here. So, going to read Brad Ganser's $1 comment here first.
Oh, he did another $1 for a comment?
I'm just seeing that, yeah. Our last set of statewide candidates proudly wore their MPPOA badges, spending a lot of money promoting that endorsement.
Yeah.
Turns out that money would have been better spent on government efforts. Hashtag grifter.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, GOTV efforts. I thought that was an abbreviation for
Yeah,
government.
and also the MPPOA, they also endorsed, swing district Democrats. Why are they helping out these Democrats in swing districts? It doesn't make any sense.
Yep. Tucker says their job is to protect and serve. It's not to be government gangsters shaking down the people through quota systems.
Well, see, I'll agree with what Tucker's saying, but I don't want to like shit on all these cops because I don't think they're being represented by Brian Peters here.
Yep.
Right? Because I know a lot of cops. Maybe I have a biased sample of cops, the good ones. I guess I only talk to good ones, but most of them are good. I don't think most cops are on board with those two issues at all. And so I don't want to shit on cops. But yeah, I mean, technically, if they were on board and if they pulled it and they were this way, it doesn't mean that they're right.
I mean, if this would lead to more illegal guns on the street, I could see how cops would be concerned. But this isn't going to lead to more illegal guns on the street.
Yeah.
We got Lori. You've been awesome on Facebook. Sorry we haven't gotten to all your comments, but there's one good one here that I thought was great. She said, next week on Matt Walsh's show, what is a breast?
Yeah, that's not true.
Earlier.
Is that really happening?
No,
I
think
she's
she's
trying to do that.
I'm sure it's a joke, but
well, then we'll do it. Don't give that to Matt Walsh. Come on. Oh my God.
She also says,
well, hold on, Lori. Where do we go with that show? You're talking to a set of we got 5 guys here. What's your gender, Dawson? 5 guys. All right, 5 guys. Not to be confused with the famous burger joint.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
sounds pretty good for lunch.
Yeah, right. So maybe we shouldn't be charged of the show called "What Is the Breast."
I like this idea.
It is an interesting concept, though.
Yep.
I think we'd be more entertained than Matt Walsh on that one.
And Dennis Wiesenberg on YouTube says,
he's like, yeah, I'll do the "What Is the Breast" show with you.
It'd be great to have him in for that. He says, check the sheriffs if New York City Second Amendment position, great defender of our gun rights.
Say that again?
Check the sheriffs if New York City. I think he's trying to say.
Yeah, interpret what Dennis Wiesenberg's trying to say here.
I think he's saying whoever the sheriff is in New York City. But maybe because they're doing a good job on the Second Amendment issue.
Oh, well,
I don't
Dennis,
know.
you're going to have to clarify here. It is interesting. Milwaukee obviously is just a crazy left-wing stronghold, but you'd imagine that permeates to the police chief. But they had that sheriff, what's his name again?
Can't think
Clark?
of his name.
David
Clark,
Clark?
yeah.
Who ended up becoming just a right-wing guy on Fox News all the time. But at least he was standing up against was that the Obama gun control stuff? I think that's how he rose to fame. So it could happen that New York does it. I mean, Hennepin County, not that Rich Stanek was this strong conservative, but he was certainly not a wacko left-winger they've now gone with their sheriffs, and he was representing, even though they were still far left-wing.
They just want it to be like Chicago, safe.
Yeah. What else we got?
Brad Ganser says, and don't forget about the chambers, the gun rights guys, and the MCCO.
Meaning what? That?
In terms of maybe they have good intentions, but they also back one establishment people, and they take compromise positions.
Yeah, most people that approach politics just approach it to buddy up to politicians.
Right.
There's obviously a reason we're so hated by the politicians, but because we're doing so well in the show and you guys are viewing and watching, and in case of the Gansers and the Lauras of the world donating, shows that we're doing something right. We go to the people, what you guys want. Yep. Unlike Brian Peters, who probably doesn't listen to his base of 10,000 officers. Maybe it's not even 10,000 officers. Maybe that's a lie, too.
I think this is a good comment to end this on.
Well, I want to bring up that one tweet before we sign off. Dawson's shaking his head. He's like, dang it, Jake, it's too long. If you find our tweet.
Oh, I hadn't seen this.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that wasn't what I was referring to, but yeah, this is. We probably do need to cover this here. You brought this up, Jesse?
Yeah, I had sent also what Elon Musk had said about Mitch McConnell as well to Dawson.
All right, well, let's pass over this because I think most of you guys know Mitch McConnell basically shit-mouthing Tucker Carlson. I almost said Fox News, but really it's Tucker Carlson that did this.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk tweeting, I forget which party you belong to, Mitch, right?
Yeah, and then actually Charlie Kirk replied to him, and he said the Uniparty.
That's right.
You know, that's what it is. There's
to
no difference between...
Go to our page real quick. I want to cover the non-apology, because we didn't write a story about this, but Heather Keeler, just so we could tie a bow on that story. Yeah, and for you guys at home, please visit our new Twitter account. Now that Elon Musk is in charge, we thought maybe it's worth getting on Twitter. Facebook hates us anyhow. So this is action_liberty. That's how you find it. Nice meme there. All right. Talk about this. You're the one that posted this, William. Talk about this non-apology from Representative Heather Keeler. Why am I putting that on? We're not listening to the video.
Yeah, I can't read it from this far away, but you can read it on your own time there. She says a whole lot of nothing, basically. She acknowledges,
yeah, there you
go. I guess I will read it. As an elected official, I should always strive to use words and language that bring people together and should not generalize any group of people.
Oh, I'm sorry. For those that don't know what we're talking about, Heather Keeler, the state rep from Moorhead, said that white Christians are basically committing genocide by adopting Indian children.
Yep, we did a whole story on it.
This is her non-apology on it, just in case you didn't see that story in the show we did on it.
Yep, and if you want more context, you can go to our website, actionforliberty.com. As an Indigenous woman, I'm committed to preserving my culture, language, values, and community. Other people have been attempting to exterminate us for generations, but the fact we keep showing up in these spaces is an act of resiliency. See, what she does here is she says, I said these things, here's why I said them, and I'm not actually sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've overcome decades of harm aimed at our community through our children. What this bill does, oh yeah, she's referring to the bill, that's why she even made those statements, is to continue to protect Indigenous children so they can continue to have a lifeline to their culture. We need to have honest educational conversations about the experiences of our Indigenous people and tribal nations. Yeah, get rid of me there on the screen there. Oh, you know what? I'll read on my screen. The erasure of my community isn't only in the past, it's firmly in our present. I apologize that my recent comments on my personal social media have distracted from what matters most, protecting our kids, protecting our culture, and working to make the best Minnesota possible.
See, she didn't even apologize for the comment. She said, I'm sorry that I was distracted.
Yes, a sleight of hand. She's not apologetic for what she did, which is called white Christians genocidal maniacs, essentially. She's apologizing because it was a distraction. There you go.
Yep.
That's who these people are.
Yep. Do we have time for maybe one or two more comments?
We'll finish on a couple comments.
Okay. Rodeo 55 says, going back to the 6-year-old kids, I could see class action lawsuits, kids suing their parents in 20 years, suicides, and kids murdering their parents. This is upsetting. I don't know about that last one, but I mean, maybe. I could see all this.
it happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're ruining these kids' lives when you're encouraging this stuff. So
yeah,
definitely.
it's not. This is definitely not healthy. Anyone that thinks this is healthy is very wrong, and this is why, don't mince my words when I say Tim Walz is a monster. I mean, he's a monster for many reasons. Let's go talk about that COVID record. But in this case, like what you're doing to these children is just so wrong. And I go back to that 6-year-old boy who's being paraded as a girl, transgender, right? What if he grows up and is a normal boy? The odds are probably suggesting he will be, right? I would say the odds are very much in favor of him just growing up and being a regular teenage boy. Goes through puberty, voice drops, probably in sports and stuff like that, despite his parents just giving him dolls and telling him not to do it. And now he's got this press conference, and his buddies are going to find out that he was paraded as a little girl. I mean, young boys, young men they're cruel.
Yep. Yeah, they won't forget that one.
Okay, so Dennis Wiesenberg clarified his comment. He has posted their office that the support your concealed carry rights in our offices. Okay, so it sounds like whoever the sheriff.
Wait, are you still having? Are you still having to interpret his words? Dennis, can't you write? Jeez,
it sounds
what are you doing?
It sounds like whoever the sheriff is in New York made a public statement and says that they support the Second Amendment constitutional right to keep him barefoot.
Okay, well, it sounds like that, so we're going to go with it. But Dennis, my God, man, could you just write like a normal human being?
Also,
jeez,
this one makes the most sense out of anything he said. He says, busy making homemade ham and bean soup in preparation for the weekend storm.
There you go.
If there is a storm.
If there is a storm.
They've been wrong about a lot of these things. My God.
Is there supposed to be another one?
Yes. Snowmageddon coming
Some
up.
inches, sometime.
Yeah, exactly.
Some-
Typical Minnesota forecast.
Yeah. 1 to 79 inches, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh,
Photo credit Raptor.
I really like this comment. Western Minnesota needs to file for divorce.
Yes. Yes. We had someone ask us to talk about the potentiality of dividing Minnesota or to breaking off greater Minnesota from the Twin Cities.
I think it needs to happen at this point.
It's so difficult geographically because, it's not like, if the Twin Cities was the southern half, you could go like this, but you'd have to carve out this thing. And I live on the eastern metro in Stillwater, so I'd like it to carve and keep Stillwater and Lake
I think
Elmo
Washington
in.
County has to bite the bullet and
Yeah.
join
We just
the,
moved.
And you and Afton,
Yeah.
right? We got to go down there. So really, it's got to be this free-floating thing that's landlocked inside of Greater Minnesota, New
I mean-
Minnesota.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem though to do that.
Actually, we'll give it river access by just letting 94 run. We'll just let that little thing.
What are you gonna do with Duluth and Rochester, though? I mean, how do you?
We keep Duluth. We want Duluth.
We want
We'll
Duluth.
have our
We
Austin,
do, but-
we'll have our Austin, Texas, in New Minnesota. We'll keep our Austin, Texas, which is Duluth, Minnesota. We want it. I love Duluth. Duluth is
So do
great.
I.
Listen, there is a certain liberal city that aren't so repugnant, and those are usually like these, like Homer, Alaska types. The Duluth, they're very artsy and stuff like that, and because you got a lot of environmentalists, you end up having some cool parks and stuff like that. They're not as trashy as the Detroits and the Chicagos and the Minneapolis. Those will just never work. They're gonna just implode, and maybe that's the course for Duluth too. But right now, Duluth isn't that terrible. It just votes horribly. I'm sure I'm making a lot of people mad by what I'm saying, but I do love the North. I love the North Shore to death.
Oh, people in the comments are agreeing with you. They're telling you to move up north. Keep them all is what Tucker said.
Well, I definitely wouldn't move to Duluth. I'll put it that way.
Well, not
Duluth
to
is a
Duluth,
visiting
maybe.
city, you
Yeah.
know?
But maybe in like the suburbs of Duluth, they're a bit more Republican.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll move to Hermantown and have a good hockey team.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it?
Tucker says move the capital to St. Peter where it's intended to be. I think we could keep Mankato too. Mankato,
Yeah.
St. Peter
I'm not
area.
a southern Minnesota kind of guy, though. I'm a Northwoods type of person. There's a different culture. My
Don't
first
like
job
the
was
rocks
on a
and
dairy.
cows down there.
Yeah, that's all it is rocks and cows over there, right? I'm not as ag based as I am like a outdoorsman. So I'm always like there's this thing when I want to get away for the weekend, especially camp. I'm always thinking go north, right? Just kind of like my propensity. Even though I grew up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so basically southern part of Minnesota, like right across the border, is La Crescent and known as just a little bit north of there. So
Whitewater State Park's really cool. Trout fishing, the hills
Yeah.
there. It's really neat.
yeah, but
It's not like up north.
Yeah, Whitewater is not. It's not
Doesn't
Tallahatchie.
touch,
It's
yeah.
it's not Temperance River. Those are some of the best parks out there. Jay Cook, south of Duluth. I love that area. Are we good? We ran out of material.
Dennis has.
Oh no, no Dennis comments.
I think it's a good way to end the show.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We're leaving all judgment up to William at this point.
I have a neighbor that has a sign in his yard that says "Welcome to Northern California." Working on my spelling.
Thank you, Dennis. Hopefully spelled California right. Thank you guys for tuning in every week. We do Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. We're a growing show. We want to reach more audiences. Share. Make sure you hit follow on Rumble. I think this show will get taken off YouTube because I think we're bullies and we're hateful, and that's what they're going to think. So I think, once again, we'll be getting a strike on YouTube and probably taken down for 2 weeks. Luckily, a lot of you guys have followed what we said and got on Rumble. Rumble is the bastion for free speech. And Dawson, I think for the last 2 weeks, they've kind of corrected some of their tech issues. Yeah. You could see a couple weeks ago we weren't getting the viewership. They had a lot of. There's still a show that hasn't yet to be produced on Rumble. It's a lost show, and it was a good show too, unfortunately. So stay with us on Rumble. Tell people this is where you get the real truth, and sometimes that truth hurts, Like a lot of people are probably like, damn it, why is Julia Coleman on that crazy bill?
Yep.
It hurts, right? Maybe you supported her, but you got to talk to her. Tell her, what are you doing? There's no such thing as lactating employees that aren't nursing mothers. It's the same thing. Stop playing this left game. And for God's sakes, we got to get rid of this cultist mentality that Tim Walz is portraying here in these press conferences. This is sickening, and it's child abuse. We got to do something about that. So thank you for tuning in. We'll be back Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Take care.